From a standing position, you're going to fold forward and then walk your hands out into a nice tall plank. From here, you'll swing one leg forward so that you're in a nice low spider lunge. And you're just going to spend some time here kind of noodling around, switching your angles a little bit, looking for what you might need the most. You want to keep that front foot flat and kind of drive the hips down toward the floor. You can also push that front knee out a little bit so that it's out past your foot laterally, as long as your foot stays flat. From here, you'll send that back foot in line a little bit more with your front foot, just so the line between your feet is more narrow. And you're going to turn your shoulders so that you're threading through your arm and then sending that inside shoulder up toward the ceiling. So you're just adding a little bit of T-spine mobility here to this nice long open hip. Now you'll spend some extra time on that front knee, just kind of pushing it out and working through some ankle mobility as well as your hip mobility. And then you're going to bring that hand to the floor on the outside of the foot. Bring your foot to its edge and just kind of rock the hip toward the foot. So you're kind of rocking in and out of that pigeon position. And just take your time, making sure to lean toward the floor and then release. From here, you're going to sort of pivot so that you go into a side body stretch. So on that long leg side, you're going to turn so the hip sort of touches down to the floor and then square off for that spider lunge again. So you go from a side body stretch to your spider lunge, back to that side body stretch. And just take your time and lean into it as much as you can. Now we'll add a lateral squat. So from that side body stretch, you're going to turn it all the way around so that you go into a lateral squat. Take your time and circle back to that side body stretch, and then send your hips back, allowing your feet to move where they need to, and sit into that nice low lateral squat. You can now send the foot back so that you're in that tall plank, and you'll walk your hands back to your feet, come up to a nice tall standing position, and we'll start from scratch to get to the other side. Taking your time and walking the hands out into a nice tall plank, shoulders over the hands, you'll swing your other leg forward into that nice low spider lunge. And you're going to noodle around here and look for where you might need the most attention. Now you could spend a little extra time pushing that front knee out laterally, keeping the foot flat and really working on that ankle and hip mobility. Now we'll add a little bit of a T-spine mobility. So you're going to turn in towards your front knee, and then you're going to thread through the other arm so you're reaching in the opposite direction. And take your time, really sinking in through the hips and making your rib cage kind of move around. Moving your back leg a little more in line with your front. You're now going to go onto the edge of that front foot, sending that hand to the outside of the foot and rocking the hip down to the floor with control, always leaning toward the floor and then slightly releasing. From here, we'll go into that side body stretch. So you're going to turn and lean into that long side and let the hip come down toward the floor. And then you're going to turn forward back into that spider lunge. And then turning back into that side body stretch, adjusting where you have to, taking your time and allowing that range to settle in. From here, we'll add that lateral squat. So you're going to turn it all the way around and then sink into that nice low lateral squat, keeping that foot flat on the floor, turning it back around into that side body stretch. Just take your time here, lifting the hips as much as you need to and allowing your feet to move on the floor so they can get into the position for each side. We'll turn it back into that nice low spider lunge and then bring that foot back and walk your hands toward your feet. You're going to separate your feet a little bit here, give yourself a nice big stretch through posterior chain, and then drop your hips down into a low squat, pushing the knees apart with your elbows. And now we'll add a little T-spine rotation. So you'll turn one arm up toward the ceiling and then the other arm up toward the ceiling. And just taking your time, making sure to stay balanced on those feet. The hips are nice and loose at this point, and we're trying to match the T-spine. Sitting here just for a moment, bringing up one arm, second arm, coming all the way up. Nicely done.